Hello, Internet. It is your host with the, yeah, with the most sounds a little presumptuous, but it's your host, me, Ike, and this is Dollar Iota, where I just come forth and spew my mind garbage into your ear face holes. And and today's subject matter is, I said, and then today's subject matter. I'm all over the place. Um, I thought that today I could discuss the idea of, I guess, constructive criticism, which kind of builds upon what I discussed last week, kind of, because that one was more criticizing yourself. But I guess it's not even really constructive criticism. God, I should probably write scripts for these things, but it's more the idea of if you're going to criticize, you should probably offer something in return. Sort of building upon the idea of he who lives in a glass house shouldn't throw stones, sort of thing. Kind of, but not really. And in this sense, I mean, if you're going to shoot down an idea, it's only prudent that you offer something in return in the place of that idea, right? So I want to keep this show apolitical, but I do follow a fair deal of politics. And this is dated and late, which means it's too late for anyone to care about it. And I think this is pretty apolitical because I'm going to bash both sides a little bit. Um, an example would be the Green New Deal proposed by Congresswoman Ocasio Cortez. And this deal was a work in progress, to put it lightly, but it was trying to address issues of climate change, which is something that is very prudent in today's society in terms of talking about the future. Now, although, as I said, this was very much a work in progress, most people were okay with just shooting it down as flights of fancy or the ideological ramblings of a progressive with no real context about how the actual world works. And while that's not entirely false, I very rarely heard anyone offer any real solutions. And these are issues that we need to address. And now there is a bevy of solutions to offer in the way of climate change, things that you could look up that are just offhand, or the idea of peat moss. So, peat moss farms. Peat moss is something that grows in swamp that naturally handles carbon emissions and is something that we should definitely be looking into. There's the idea of capturing carbon emissions and turning them into graphene. There's the idea of capturing carbon emissions and turning and pumping them into the ocean, into sediment that has holes in it. Like I don't know the exact name of the. You can look these things up. They're very, like, just Google it. I might even put a link in the description. I might not. I'll forget. But pumping it into the ocean, turning it into just carbonated water. That's the only downside that they've been working on in Europe. They're trying to make plans for this. And then, just in addition to that, just nuclear energy, like thorium salt, just just real solutions that no one is actually talking about, and no one even proposed because everyone was just too busy shooting down the idea. The Now, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to say all the things. I know there's more to the bill than just that, but that's for another channel to discuss. We're not trying to piss anyone off. Now, to throw shade in the other direction, I suppose you could say, is there's the idea of the Trump border wall, I guess, and the idea of immigration being an actual problem. Well, specifically illegal immigration. Immigration in and of itself is a wonderful thing. It only bolsters an economy because more people to work. But when said people aren't paying their taxes, at least directly, of course you pay taxes with purchases. You're never paying the sticker price. So if they're buying stuff, which of course they're going to buy stuff, what are they going to do? Just grow everything in their backyard and just not purchase or play a part in the economy? That's impossible. It's ludicrous. It doesn't happen. It's not impossible. It could happen, but it doesn't happen. That's so far beyond the pale. That's unlikely as shit. It doesn't happen. But that is something that is an issue, especially in a country that is suffering the same economic problems as America. And to say otherwise is again being a little disingenuous. So, although yes, the idea of a border wall expanding the entire U.S. Mexican border is absurd, ludicrous, without any. It's just like there's easier ways, just more border security, stricter background checks, catching people who try to overstay their visa without being so aggro or almost fascistic about it, I suppose. Not fashion. Nah, that's just me tossing around a word, a trigger word. Not even fascistic, but without being so gung ho or releasing this air of xenophobia about it. There's a way to address this problem in a way that shows that you do value them as human beings, but at the same time, you do value the work that the American people have done to sustain the American economy, and you don't want anyone to destabilize that, however small or insignificant in a way it might be, to show that you respect the American people and their input into the economy, and you don't want anyone else to mess with that ebb and flow between the people and the government that's supposed to protect them, is justified. It's not a bad idea at all, and it's based on sound science. Um, but it's just when they were shooting down the idea of a wall, and there was no one ever proposed that. No one ever proposed that idea. No one proposed the idea of making immigration easier so that people can participate. I mean, maybe a few people did, not, but they weren't. It's one of those things where it's just like they were just screamed over by the people who were just like, no, that's you know racist, and it's unfortunate because it's a discussion that should be had because it benefits everybody, and it's one of those concepts of, if you're going to propose something, I mean, if you're going to shoot down an idea, rather, then you should propose something in return. That's how you get a dialogue going. That's how we build each other up, or we address actual issues instead of just cutting each other down all the time. There's probably an example I could have used that was more apolitical, but I tried to show both sides in the same light and point out decent ideas on both sides. Not exactly equal. One's way more pressing than the other, and I will speak and say that climate change is way more pressing than the other. There's no two bones about that one. But I think it's always helpful in a dialogue to not just shoot out down ideas as if they don't come, as if the people proposing them didn't think about them or didn't actually feel like see them as issues. Because when you do that, it's almost as if you're saying what you care about doesn't matter. And if you do that, you almost immediately just stifle any progression towards a good and healthy dialogue. And I don't think that's helpful, especially in our modern society where everyone's so visceral and toxic towards one another. We want to foster a good environment. We want to foster a healthy marketplace of ideas. And I think we can start that by, you know, maybe meeting each other halfway. But anyway, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for joining Doppler IOTA. And remember, everyone, make waves.